So the next update is from the Security TWG. Eric Hibbard. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning. And next slide, please. All right. So, 2023, uh, I actually failed to list one of our most significant contributions, but to start with that's the link for the charter for the twig. It's been around for quite some time, going back to right around the year 2000. So this is an ancient activity, um, but constantly changing. So we have one of our products is the SNIA transport layer security specification for storage systems. And this document essentially deals with how to secure the communications when you're doing certain storage management kinds of functions. And it's intended to basically deal with this aspect uh, of multiple specifications, SMIS, CDMI, things of that nature. So we did do an update this year, and as you'll see, working to update the ISO version of this. And we are partway through that process, and I'll talk a little more about it. Um, we have been supporting, as you've already heard, we're a cross-functional activity, so security is a topic of interest with most of what SNIA does. So we get involved with almost all the activities. In particular, there was quite a bit of work with computation storage, architecture, getting in security considerations, in that area. The piece that I didn't include is there's a substantial paper published this year on encryption and key management as it relates to um, the storage ecosystems. And it's a one of the documents that is being referenced by the new ISO storage security standard, which is 27040. And of course, we were very active in providing feedback on the development of that standard. Its publication is imminent, as in probably the next few days, if the feedback I got from ISO Secretariat today holds true. So you'll see we've got a couple other work items in motion in SNIA to deal with some references here. One of those is the ISO standard for the TLS specification. One of them is the encryption key management paper. Um, you see the next item we have here is the IEEE standards on 2883 series. So this is the standards that are dealing with media sanitization, storage sanitization. The initial standard 2883 was published, and there's multiple products underway. We are actively monitoring and participating in that work. And we're also working with the SNIA Data Protection and Privacy Committee on a paper on data protection. And this is one of the other documents that the new ISO storage security standard touches on. Okay, so I mentioned this ISO TLS spec. This is the document number is 20648. We've actually completed the the draft international standard ballot. We received comments from Australia and Japan, so we have to run a ballot resolution meeting. That's what BRM stands for. And once that's done, we'll have to produce a final draft international standard draft, which then gets balloted for an additional 8 weeks. So we have some work ahead of us. The comments have already been reviewed, and we've prepared a draft disposition of comments. And the meeting is expected in early March is what we're slated for. So we're still looking at several months worth of work to kind of wrap this up. Because we'll be making a change to the contents of the TLS spec as part of this ISO activity, we'll then have to do an update on the SNIA side to make sure that those two documents are synchronized. We also have work underway on a fiber channel security paper that's being worked with jointly with the FCIA. This is one of the other documents that the 27040 standard references. And the way that reference works is it identifies controls in particular areas, for example, fiber channel. And what's identified is if you need additional information, go see the SNIA documents, for further details. Basically, what's happened is all the tutorial material was removed from the second edition of the standard. Um, the twig gets involved with security presentations and webinars, usually some sort of activities at Storage Developers Conference, and we are sort of the custodians for the data security and legal terms in the SNIA dictionary. So we're currently going through reviewing all of those terms, make sure that they're still appropriate. Are there any missing ones, or do we have things that basically are no longer needed? Um, in terms of who do we collaborate with in SNIA, the short answer is basically everyone in some nature, but in particular, the DPPC, Data Protection and Privacy Committee, is an organization that we work very closely with, and almost everyone else has got some sort of security issue that we get involved with. Externally, we have to monitor a fair amount of activities. So insights and also ISO in terms of security standards and activities. IEEE Cybersecurity and Privacy Standards Committee. We work closely with the Trusted Computing Group, the International Data Sanitization Consortium, the Open Compute Project, and the Fiber Channel Industry Alliance, and the American Bar Association. Turns out lawyers actually have a say in some of this, and so we um, actively track their work and have had many opportunities where they provide input to us as well. This is the current company membership. We have several individual members who also participate. There are 111 experts that are currently registered as part of the Security Twig roster. Next slide. So why would you join the Security Twig and participate? For one thing, there's education, best practices, formal standards, and sort of security threat analysis. This is one of the few places, if you care about storage security, where you can come and get a read on what's going on. There's a lot of cross-pollination that happens. We are actively monitoring 15, 16 different activities that touch on storage security, and there are very few places that I know of that involve discussions that typically take place on a weekly basis. Whether that's OCP or CXL or whatever, there are discussions taking place of a technical nature, as well as the work on papers and whatnot. The relevance, it's consumers and users, vendors and developers and implementers. So it's across the board of the sets of issues that we deal with. If you come join, we have people that monitor, but we have lots of people that are coordinating and contributing and working on education materials. We meet weekly, Tuesdays, 1 p.m. for 1 hour, 1 p.m. Pacific. Active participants are about 1 to 2 hours per week. Some of this is reviewing documents, producing materials, things of that nature. And you can reach the leadership, which is currently me, or the twig, but this is the address that you can use to